Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. If you are just now visiting or do not know who I am Michele Lopez. I am a celebrity stylist, a designer, a transformational coach. I teach confidence and I am a mentor to mentors. I have been over 2 decades teaching women how to show up, own who they are, and tell that story through their image. So today, we're going to talk about why successful women dress terrible. I know some of y'all might not like that title, and it's not everybody. But sis, it's a lot of super successful women out of here that dress terrible. But there are reasons behind it. There are reasons behind it. And I want to give you those reasons and some solutions today. Okay, so we're going to start. We're going to do 5, but we're going to start with number 5. I'm going to go 5, and then I'm going to count down to the number 1 reason why successful women dress terrible. Again, not all of them, not everybody. Some of y'all out here shutting it down. But there's a reason why I have been in business for over 2 decades. Yes, there is. Okay, so here's the first one. First reason number 1. Reason number 5. We're going backwards. Reason number 5. They never focused on it. Okay. So follow me with this. Normally, super successful women have spent an enormous part of their life studying, working towards a goal, right? And what we've been taught as women, I don't know about you, but I didn't do what I was taught, but I was taught. And it was almost embedded in me. No, you go to school, you graduate, you go to college, then you go get your master's degree or a PhD, and then you work, and then you work, and then you work, and then you work, and then you retire. Nobody ever said anything about looking good while you're doing it, right? And so a lot of times, because they haven't focused on it, I hear all the time, I don't have time. And I want to tell you that you make time. We all make time for what it is that we value, what it is that we think is important. So for me, that excuse is out the door. But I do understand that when you've never done it and you don't know how, you're not focusing on it. 1, because it's not of great value to you. And 2, you probably don't know what you're doing. But here's what I want you to know, that how you look is nonverbal communication. And actually, it speaks well before you do. This has a voice all on its own. When you walk into the room, nobody knows that you got your PhD from Harvard. They don't know whether you work at Target or whether you went to Harvard and graduated from Harvard, and whether you're making 7 figures or whether you're making 5. Nobody knows. All they know is when you walk in, how you present yourself. And that actually gives them a clue of whether they even want to get to know you. So here's what I would say when you never focus on it, right? And I got my handy dandy notes here. So if y'all see me look down, that's because I'm looking at my notes, because I wrote notes and my little iPad, just as you can see, and it's on a little stand. I don't want to miss anything. Okay. So I want you to understand that your how you look is nonverbal communication, right? But nonverbal communication and how you look is your brand. That is your personal brand. That is the story that's attached to you. So when you walk into a room and no one knows you, now you got to walk over to people and get to know you, because if you don't look the part, nobody is coming. Then you have to go, and then you have to seek people out. Okay. And then maybe they'll remember the conversation that you had because you're brilliant. But do you know that so many people will remember you from how you look, what you had on, your energy that you brought to the room, how you made them feel is the number 1 thing what people remember about you, right? And when you look good, you feel good, right? And so if you are even super smart and you're an introvert, it's going to be hard for you to even go over and talk to someone. But do you know, if you are looking the part, if you look the part, they'll come over to you. You won't have to go to them. Okay. So for number 1, they've never focused on it. Well, when I say number 1, y'all know I'm talking about number 5. I'm going to give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let me get this straight. I'm talking about number 5. I want you to think about what story is attached to your wardrobe. What is your wardrobe saying about you? Is it saying that you take time and that you're well put together? Or is it saying that you jumped out of bed, you didn't brush your teeth, wash your face, do your hair, but you smart? And that's going to get you far. And so let me just say this. That is super important. And if that's the road that you took, I honor that. But you got to honor who you are. You got to show up differently. We're not taught to focus on it, but how you treat yourself, your outer appearance, is a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself. But I'm not going to go there because that's not what this teaching is about. But here's the call to action for number 5. The call to action is, what story is attached to your wardrobe? What story do you tell when you walk into the room? How you dress, how you look, how you present yourself, how together you are. What story is that? Okay. So now, the first, number 5, you never focused on it. Okay. Count down. I have to remind myself we're counting down. Countdown. Number 4. I just do not have time for that. That is just so not important. Do you know how many clients have told me they do not have time? Do you know? I've had so many. Okay, let me tell you the story. I had a client that is very, very well known, and it's almost like she said she didn't have time because she was balancing work, family, kids, scripts, like everything that she had to do, right? And so she was telling me that she did not have time to actually get up and get herself together. What I told her, though, and here's the reality of this, y'all, because even having been a celebrity stylist for over 2 decades, and then I became a designer, so I pulled back from celebrity styling, but then I started creating things online in which I could teach, and so I could feel like everyone can learn, everyone could be involved, right? But you do have time. And I just said 2 minutes ago, we make time for what it is that we want to do. You make time to eat, don't you? You make time to cook. You make time to get up. You make time to do that presentation where you got to stand in front of everybody and do the presentation. You make time for everything that you want to make time for. And here's the bigger deal about making time. Here's what I really feel about making time. I think the underlying thing about making time is that we don't feel like our time is that valuable to spend on us. It's okay to spend it on somebody else. It's okay to spend it on your kids. It's okay to spend your time on your husband. It's okay to spend your time at work because that's where you're getting the check. But it's somehow, as a woman, all the things we have to do, we've never been taught that it's okay to take time for ourselves, that you are the most valuable thing in your life. You are. In your present life right here, you are the most valuable thing in your life outside of God, outside of your spirituality, what you believe in. So why is it that you don't have time to make sure you're together? Why is it that you don't have time to, do you know during COVID, how many sessions I did where people came on the session, hair not combed? So I'm assuming if your hair not combed, you didn't brush your teeth. Like stuff still in your eyes. Like, is that the story that you want to tell? It's the same thing. I go back to number 5. You never focused on it. But what story do you want to tell? What do you want people to know about you when you show up? You want them to remember, oh, she was nice, but she don't keep herself together. You think people don't talk about it? You think they don't? They do. You got time. Like I got time today to teach you, and there's this new saying, oh, I got time today. You have time. Wake up 5 minutes earlier. Wake up 5 minutes earlier. Go to bed 20 minutes later. Most of my corporate women, most of my politicians are on a strict schedule. And they follow that schedule relentlessly. How about this? Add yourself into the schedule. How about that? Add yourself into the schedule. And actually do it first. No, first make sure you have God in there. He's first. But second, then you get up earlier and just focus on yourself. Get yourself together. When I tell you, in some of my darkest days, in my 20s, I went through a terrible depression. Of course, I didn't know it was depression then. I just thought I just didn't feel good, didn't want to get out of bed. I had no idea what it was. But when I could muster up the energy to get up, get out of bed, get myself together, go in that mirror, and wash my face, do my hair, put my clothes on, I felt 1,000% better. So, one, you do have time. Two, it is imperative that you actually make the time. Give yourself the best you got because you are worthy and deserving of that. You've got to give yourself that first before you go and think you're going to give it to somebody else. See, showing up for yourself is not abandoning what you're supposed to do, not abandoning your family, your kids, your job, nothing. It just means you are no longer willing to abandon yourself and fulfill their needs. Everybody's needs can be fulfilled, but yours needs to be fulfilled first. Since you need to get in that mirror, get yourself together. You need to make time, put extra time on your schedule. And remember, I said that all of my career has been with celebrities, politicians, CEOs, C-suite leaders. I mean, super powerhouse women. But guess what I want to tell you? You are a powerhouse. Look at me. You are a powerhouse, right? I don't care where you find yourself today and what situation you find yourself in. You are a powerhouse. So I need you to treat yourself that way. I need you to give yourself the best. You got an infant child? I don't know what time the baby wake up, but before the baby wake up, get up, take your bath, get yourself together, sit still, center yourself, pray. And then when your baby wakes up, you are fresh and ready to go. Or if your baby is a little baby, because, I got 3 kids that are now grown, but I do remember the days that I couldn't fully be on the schedule till I got them on the schedule. But even doing that, once your baby's up and you put your baby to sleep, work out what you're going to do for the next day for you. Work out what you're going to wear for you. Take out and iron your clothes. I'm not talking about how much you spend for your clothes. I'm talking about taking care of you is a necessity. Make the time. Don't tell me that you don't have time. You do have time. You're worth it. You're important. That's a big one for me. Make the time. Make the time. Make the time. Your family, your friends, your children, your job will be there. So you have to give yourself the best first before then you turn and give them your best. You are worthy of that first. You're not giving them and then you're empty. You're going to give out of your overflow. You're going to get up and you're going to be consistent. And even if it's 10, 15-minute difference, that's enough to wash your face, put on a little cheek, put on a little lip, get your hair right. Now that's outside of bathing, of course. But like even at night, if you start at night and get your clothes ready for the next day. I have been an entrepreneur for a decade and a half now. But when I had a 9-to-5 job, I literally would get in my closet at night, get all of my stuff together, iron my stuff, know what I was going to wear the next day so that I can get up, get myself together, get dressed, put my makeup on, do whatever I needed to do, and I would be out. Do you know how I felt? Even if I was rushing, honey, when I walked into that job, I knew I was well put together. And people respect you when you're well put together. They address you by how you're dressed. There's a reason people have been saying that for years. It's not just cliche. It is the truth. And now more than ever. So make the time. Here goes your call to action for number 4. Get up earlier. Stay up a few minutes later. Lay your clothes out, iron your clothes, get yourself. I even have my everyday makeup like laid up on my sink because I don't wear a whole bunch of it, but it's laid out on my sink, ready to go. We're not missing a beat. You deserve it. You deserve to give yourself the best. Okay, let's go to number 3. I wrote this one out, so I want to read this to you. They've overvalued introversion or intellectualism. So essentially what it's saying is you just value that you're really, really smart. But how about this? How about this? You can be brilliant and beautiful. It's not this or that. It is and. You are and. You are and dot, 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 dot. You are everything. You can be brilliant and beautiful. God created you that way. He created you that way. Brilliant and beautiful. Not or. And so many of us have been taught that it's either one or the other. It's not. It's not. That's a myth. That's a misnomer. It is not one or the other. It is both. And you need to start valuing both. Okay, so here's what I wrote. There's an assumption that brilliance should be enough. Where am I looking? There is an assumption that brilliance should be enough. You think your intellect or your skills will carry you through any situation. And often it does. But how you show up in the world will amplify your influence. How you show up in the world will amplify your influence. How you look and how you think will amplify your influence in what area of life you're in. And baby, you want influence. You want influence because that's how you're going to make a difference. That's how you're going to make real change. Influence. So here's my takeaway. Don't you let your wardrobe undermine your brilliance. They need to be right here. They need to be right here, sis, neck and neck. They need to be right here. And in another video, I will show you how to show up in your clothes, how to show up and own that in your clothes. But we first got to get some things together. This is the most important part. This is the first part of this, but I will show you because obviously there are tips and tricks and trades and how to wear your undergarments properly, how to wear the right clothes, how to dress, how to sit, how to stand, how to talk, the energy that you exude, all of that. But first, I got to get you to understand that you are this and that. You're not this or that. No, you don't have to just be smart. You don't have to just be smart. Counting down, number 3, you don't have to just be smart. So do not overvalue your intellect over how you look too, how you show up in the world. They run like this, sis. Sis, baby girl, ma'am, they run like this. So I need you to pay just as much of attention as how you look, how you show up in the world, how you present yourself when you walk in the room as you do how smart you are. Because guess what? Here's the reality. I said it on number 5, and I'm going to say it again. Nobody knows what you do for, unless it's an intentional meeting, unless it's an intentional space that you're in. Nobody knows what you do for a living when you show up in a room. Do you know that nobody knows? Well, obviously, if you follow me on social media and that type of influence, then you already know what I do and who I am. But you know how many people in this world, there's so many people that don't know who Michele Lopez is. But when I walk into the room, they want to know. That's what your presence does. You got the same magic. You got to know it and step into it. When I walk into the room, they want to know who I am just by my presence. Do you know that clothes and how you look are even a conversation starter? It's a conversational piece. It is also an opportunity for you to receive a compliment or give a compliment. And it starts a full-fledged conversation, especially with women. I created a movement last year called the Refer Her Movement, and it has reached over 15 million women. And the premise on that movement is just normalizing women referring each other. Saying, hey, sis, you look good today. Girl, you wearing that dress. Oh my gosh, your hair look good. Not just in business, but in life. And then when it comes to business, oh, you want to do business with someone that values how they look, that values taking care of themselves. Because guess what? People understand you. If you value taking care of you, you're going to value taking care of them. People even think about whether to trust you or not and how you show up in the room. It has been my entire career, from the celebrities to the CEOs to the C-suite to the daggone every powerhouse woman I know that I have worked with. I have said this very thing and it has worked. I got a proven track record. And I'm telling you this, and I'm also saying it about myself. Listen, let me tell you something. When I was broke as a joke, when I was broke as a joke, like broke, like broker than broke. You remember that little store, Rainbow? I used to shop at Rainbow all the time. Chad, I would be in there for 2 hours, come out with one $5 shirt, but the shirt was bomb. But anyway, I shopped at Rainbow. But because it was a gifting that I had, and because as a little girl, I was playing dress up in my closet, and so I knew what to put with what. It was innate in me. Nobody knew that I was getting them clothes from Rainbow. So this isn't about the money. Because, honey, right now, I love Tarjay. My daughter called it Tarjay. She's 30. I will go in Tarjay right now, and I could hook you up. And you could feel it. But the point of it is when I hook you up, then you feel like you can conquer the world. You know how when you put on that one dress that you just love and that you know, oh, in this dress, and you feel like you can conquer the world, you should feel like that every single day of your life. One, because you can. Two, because you got to be intentional. You got to be intentional. You got to be intentional. Okay? You're not this or that. You're this and that. Brilliant and beautiful. Don't you let your wardrobe undermine your brilliance. People won't even know you that smart if you walk in looking crazy. People won't even know that you're that smart if you walk in looking crazy. Be intentional. At least iron your clothes. Iron them. Put them on. Wear them. Don't let them wear you. And I'm going to teach you all of that. This is just not that video today. Okay. Here we go. Where we at? This number 2. I was about to say number 4 because I'm doing this backwards, but we're counting down. I'm going to get this right. We're counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2. People use the clothes to hide themselves. Oh, gosh. People use the clothes to hide themselves. Okay, I got to tell y'all this. So, I work with Iyanla Vanzant for like 12 years. I hope she don't mind me. She's not going to mind me telling the story. She's so honest and out front with everything. So I work with her for 12 years. Maybe longer than that, honestly. Every show on Fix My Life, I did. So you can see the evolution of Iyanla and how she started to show up. And she always knew she was brilliant. Let's just be very clear. But when it came to dressing and she just wasn't concerned about all these other things were more important. And I remember I was trying to work her in slowly. And I bought this one dress, and this dress was fitted, y'all. It was boom, 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 boom. And she got curves for days, and it was showing her curves. So I thought, okay, I'm working her slowly. She gonna get into this. She put that dress on. She was like, I am not wearing this. I'm not wearing this. This is tight. I do not want to show my curves. And I asked her why. And she said she didn't want to focus on her curves. She didn't want to show her body. She just didn't feel comfortable. She wanted to focus on the work. And I told her the same thing that I'm saying. It's not either or. We can do both in this thing, honey. It is our God-given right. This is how we honor ourselves. This is how we honor God, by showing up in our fullness. You're not showing all your parts. You showing your body is your body. Who you are is who you are. Step into that power. Everything that's on you, God created. And even if you're not the weight that you want to be, whatever is going on, you can show up right where you are. And when I started working with Iyanla, she was I think size 14. And on television, and here's the caveat, on TV, I reminded her, you look bigger. So TV puts about 10, 15 pounds on you, right? So if you wear something that's big and you hide your whole body, like, it actually makes you look bigger. So we went through this back and forth fight, honey. She decided to wear the dress. Let me tell you something. I swear it went viral. I swear, because nobody knew she had them curves. She got compliment after compliment. The women were like, you got curves. The men were like, wait, where does that waist come from? So much so that people were like, sending messages, DMing me like, did Iyanla have surgery? I was like, she absolutely did not have surgery. She been had that body. She was covering up. She was covering it up. And I think part of her cover up was to make other people so comfortable, because she's so strong with her words and how she teaches. She didn't want this to be an issue, honey. That's not what we doing. That's not what we doing right now. We showing up, and we are showing up fully. So here you go. Here's my teaching moment for you. Dressing boldly isn't showing off. It's about stepping into your power. Hiding in plain sight does a disservice to your confidence and to the people that you're meant to inspire. Let me read that again to you. Hiding in plain sight. So, like, you hiding in plain sight. Okay, get this. I'm not talking about the things on your body that you are uncomfortable with. Nope, that's not what I'm talking about. Because as a celebrity stylist for over 2 decades, I would always ask my clients, what do you love about your body? And they would tell me, what don't you like? Okay, so now my job is to accent all the things that you love so that you could step out here and feel like a powerhouse. So I'm not talking about the things that you feel, you don't like, a little insecure about. I'm talking about hiding behind your clothes. Stop wearing oversized things. Some people are comfortable in that. Okay. But I'm talking about when you are in position of power, oversized clothes is not what you want to wear. That does a disservice to every woman, every man, everybody that you are supposed to empower. You can show up, as I said before, in the countdown in number 3. You could be brilliant and beautiful. It's your right. It is your God-given right. And in this next season, you're going to have to be both. You're going to have to be bold. You're going to have to be courageous. You're going to have to step out of your confidence, sis. You're going to have to. Otherwise, you'll be left behind. In this next season, your success will depend on your boldness and your confidence. But we'll get into that later. But that was a funny story. So, Yala, if you're watching this, hopefully you didn't mind me telling that story. But y'all, I just need y'all to go back about 13, 14 years ago and see how everything was oversized. And then y'all go back and y'all watch the reruns of Fix My Life and see how I started slowly changing that to where when we were on tour, the body was bodying, honey. It was giving all that it was supposed to give, respectfully. Although it was a little disrespectful, but respectfully. Okay, here's the close. We're closing out. Here is the number one reason that successful women dress terrible. They've been taught it doesn't serve them. They have been taught that it doesn't serve them. So I have so many stories of this, but let me give you one. I was working with a major politician, right? And when I first stepped in, of course, I did my research. I knew who she was. And I came and I started working with her. I recognized she was so little, but I recognized that everything in her closet was twice her size. Like it was so big, even down to the shoes flip-flopping off her feet. And I sat down, as I always do with my clients, because it was always my process that I had to sit down and have a discussion with you, who you are, where you're headed, how you desire to show up in the world, the purpose of this, all those things, right? And I asked her, why is it that your clothes are so big? Like, why? They're like falling off of you. And one of the things that she told me is one of her mentors had told her that it is less intimidating, that she was already intimidated enough because she was successful. And so she didn't want to intimidate them more by dressing and really showing her femininity, by like dressing as a woman. So everything was like a suit of pants, but it was all so big. Not even that it was big, it was just so plain. And here's what I told her, and here's what I want you to know. And this is what I told her. You serve no one by shrinking. Not one person. I went through all those numbers to get to this number one reason. You serve no one by shrinking. You've been sitting still and shrinking too long. You have been allowing yourself to be defined by what other people think and thought about you and what other people are saying. Because you know she got that from a mentor. She got that from a mentor. She got that from a mentor. I want you to look at every politician before they had a stylist, and then look at them after they had a stylist. And not only was everybody talking about every female, the female ones that dress fabulous. And not only was everyone talking about, at first they were talking about they were smart, but then they were talking about how they looked and how they carried themselves. Listen to me, sis. It carries weight. It carries weight. Now, you might not know the exact things to do, but keep watching this channel because I'm committed to showing you. But don't you shrink. Don't you be in this leadership role and wear oversized clothes and think that no one's watching and think that you're going to inspire people. Don't you shrink. You do not serve them by shrinking. I remember I had a client and I did that. She was in Forbes. And I went into her office and she had all these plaques all around. And as we were getting ready to film, I was filming something for her. So I had to show her how to talk, how to walk, how to be. I said, oh, let's put these plaques on the wall. She told me no. And I said, why? She had actually graduated from Harvard. And I said, why? And she told me because it was intimidating. I said, what? She said, because it was intimidating. And I said, how many gentlemen's offices have you gone to? And on their wall, there's a plaque of if they won a freaking golf tournament. And they're proud of it because they have a right to be proud of it. And you graduated from Harvard and you don't want to put it up on your wall because you think it's intimidating someone. You are already here, sis. Listen to me. You are here. You got to learn how to stand in your power and own it because that's how you shift the atmosphere. That's how you inspire people. That's how you inspire people that want to be you. People are watching. So you got to answer the call. And shrinking is not your portion, honey. Showing up in your fullness and owning how dope you are is your portion. Do you understand me? Okay, I got carried away because I need y'all to understand that where we're headed in this transition, because you're either in your personal life leaving something that has been a transitional phase, like you're in it, or you're headed in one. Yeah? Either way, you're going to have to know how to show up, own who you are, and confidently and authentically tell that story through your image. You're going to have to know how to do that. So that's the number one reason. But here's my moment. And here's what I want to tell you about this last reason. Here's the teaching moment. I wrote it down. So remember I told you I got my iPad here because I didn't want to forget nothing. Here we go. This belief that showing up in your fullness does not serve you is rooted in fear. It's rooted in fear. You hear me? It's rooted in fear and outdated norms. Honey, in the time that we are in, you got every right to take up your space, even if people don't want you to take up your space. And you could take it up without even saying the word. You could take it up by just entering the room and being very clear on who you are. And that doesn't mean that you're not humble. Because humble is not thinking that you're better than anyone. You're not trying to intimidate anyone. What you are doing is honoring the gifts and the talents and everything God gave you by not shrinking and showing up in your fullness and owning it unapologetically. Okay, let me finish reading. Sorry, I get carried away because this is what I've taught for years and this changes lives. Hear me. Extraordinary women should dress extraordinary. Extraordinary women should dress extraordinary. And I'm here to tell you, whether you believe it, think it, feel it right now or not, you are extraordinary. You are extraordinary and you need to look the part. Looking polished and powerful isn't about pleasing others. It's about commanding respect. And you deserve respect. And you deserve respect. Your appearance isn't about making others comfortable. It's about making yourself unforgettable. It's about making yourself unforgettable, honey. And when you walk into the room and when you leave, they'll never forget that you came. Because you got that power within you. Now, I need you to rise up. I need you to rise up and be intentional about it, okay? Okay, so let me just give you just some call to action that I wrote down before I end this, okay? I want you to take one step to elevate your wardrobe. One step. And rethink your relationship with your personal brand. Your personal brand is a story that is attached to you. When you come and when you go, what will they say about you? What do you want to leave with them? So one thing this week, I want you to rethink in your wardrobe and elevate it. Whether it's a shoe, if you don't wear color, get a color. Whether it's a lip, that's part of your whole style. Put on a lip. Whether it's a shirt or a blazer, rethink one thing. And then rethink the story that people are getting from you when you show up in a room and when you leave. And we can't get in today, but 90% of the time, the story that you think they're getting, they're not getting. Because most of the time, it's the story that we want them to see. But I want you to give them the real authentic story of you standing tall and walking in your power and not shrinking. Okay? All right, that's it. That's it for today. Listen, if this helped you, please like, share, comment. We all need this. And as I talked about my movement, refer to another woman. Once you understand and you learn how to step in your power, it is your responsibility to help another woman do the exact same thing. Remember, you serve no one by shrinking, no one by shrinking to accommodate their insecurities. And when you have the courage to not shrink and show up, you give other women, you make space for not even just women, for other people to do the exact same thing. Okay? All right. So now, head up, shoulders back, walk in your power. Dress in your power. And you help them see that you are unforgettable. Take up spaces. Take up space. Until next time, see y'all. Love you.